What is going on, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today I am back for a little bit more. I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of a political test for you guys. So if you guys are actually interested in seeing what I am and making fun of me for it, then you can actually find out here what I am, because I know it's probably not gonna, probably might be a little bit of surprise, but got someone joining me right now. I have PTK in the stream too to make fun of me and my views.
Of course.
Hell yeah. Alright, so Rando Internet Guy, welcome to the live stream, as well as Damien. So if you guys, again, are interested in seeing this, go ahead and stay tuned. We have about 216 questions, and I have about 2 hours to get it completed, so hopefully you'll see how bad I was actually at school. So anyway, we're going to be doing this through 9 axes. This is going to be through our progress, tradition, secular, religious, equality, markets, federal, unitary, assimilationist, multiculturalist, militarist, pacifist, democracy, authority, globalist, isolationist, security, and freedom values that it actually goes through. So right now we're going to go ahead and start. You'll be presented with a series of statements for each one. Click the button with your opinion on it. Give me the full version or the short version. Wait, never mind. I'm going to go ahead and say wait, never mind. Just kidding. I'm going to be taking the 216 questions. All right. So
we can't see this on the stream, by the way.
Yep, I'm just realized that. Thank you for telling me that. All right, now you guys can actually see this. So the first question we are actually looking at is going to be, we should be taking in more refugees. I'm going to disagree with that. Police should be regulated more. I'm going to say agree. Nations should not maintain a military. I'm going to strongly disagree. Some people must be given up. Some freedom must be given up in order to keep people safe. That one, I am actually going to disagree with that. And again, if anyone wants to have a conversation with us, I'm going to be reading off.
Let's discuss that one.
Which one?
Let's discuss that one a little bit. Some freedoms must be given up in order to... Which freedoms are you fine with giving up?
See, that's the thing. I'm not okay with it. I'm like, even if it's a couple of small freedoms, specifically constitutional freedoms, especially freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, stuff like that. Like, I don't really think that it's a good idea to give up those freedoms just because that we feel like we'll be safer. I think that giving up your freedoms to be safe is kind of like shooting yourself in the face.
So, in the United States, you have a right to travel within the United States, right? So, when you go to the airport and the TSA are shoving a rubber glove up your... isn't that a restriction on your freedom? And isn't that a restriction on your freedom to freely travel within the United States?
Yeah, I get that. I've actually never flown on a plane before, so that's one thing. So yeah, I'm actually gonna say disagree.
Okay.
Well, okay. Some freedom must be given up in order to keep people safe. Okay, so yeah, so I'm disagreeing with that. Okay. Just trying to make sure that I was saying it that I was like reading it the right way. People should have the power to choose their leaders. I'm gonna say agree, even though I think it's kind of talking about specific things like
the president, right?
Yeah. The sacrifice of some civil liberties is necessary to protect us from acts of terrorism. Again, I'm going to disagree with that. Immigrants should be expected to learn the language of the country. I'm going to say agree. Religion should be banned. Strongly disagree. Automation overall is extremely good for society. See, that one kind of kills me, because it's like, you know, it's good because automation allows for faster...
you get more shit.
Yeah, you get more stuff, but then at the same time, it also kills jobs. So I kind of get that, but then at the same time...
On a more human level, though.
Huh?
Do we want to have our asses wiped by robots? Or is that something we should do ourselves?
Yeah, true.
You know, so, automation could be seen as let's call it the robotification of society, right? And how do you feel about that?
I'm gonna go ahead and say disagree, I guess. Local governments should have more power than they currently do. See, yeah, I kind of get that, but I also kind of don't get that because that comes back into some of the issues that we have with local governments having too much power, especially police officers.
What's your argument against?
See, that's one of the things is that local governments it's more along the lines of like having instead of just having one federal centralized government, we actually have better local power against the federal government. So as long as there's like a central government and then a local government, then I believe that it actually is beneficial that local governments actually have a little bit more power. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say agree with that. A nation's culture is more important to protect. Yeah, I actually agree with that. It is
strongly or just agree?
Huh?
Strongly or just agree? So, to ask another way, what are you willing to trade away or what is worth more than your culture?
Not a lot, actually. See, I've actually had that weird kind of thing where I do actually believe that culture is extremely important. As long as, see, I believe that there should be a difference between religion and culture. As long as that as long as that difference is actually prevalent, then I believe that it could be beneficial. But then at the same time, there's countries like the United States that are so intertwined with religion inside of its culture that it's kind of hard to get away from. But to a point, I actually do agree with the way the United States does it. So I guess, yeah, strongly agree is actually going to be where I am. The importance is overrated these days. It's more important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. I'm gonna go ahead and say actually disagree with that because furthering the strength that like peaceful relations with one country, but then that means that you're not going to increase your strength. I think that it's actually beneficial to do both, retaining peaceful relations and then increasing your strength.
Was it worth going into the Korean War? You know, if
I believe, yeah, because of the containment of communism.
Yeah, so then you're furthering your strength rather than holding peaceful relations.
Yeah.
So, of course, everyone prefers peace and furthering their strength if they can have that. But if you're forced to make the choice, what are you going to pick? Strength or peaceful or peace?
Question 13. Military action by our nation is often necessary to protect it. And that's kind of where it kind of gets a little personal because, yeah, I mean, military action in the interests of the nation is beneficial, but as long as there's a way for us to actually look at it. But, like, I don't think there was a lot of benefits to taking down Saddam Hussein, for example. But then in the cases of, like, just what you said a minute ago, like, the containment of communism, yeah, that's where I kind of agree to it. So I guess I'm just going to say slightly agree.
You could go unsure if you're unsure.
Yeah, I don't like saying unsure, honestly, because I do it way too many times because I'm extremely neutral. Was military action necessary against the Nazis? Well, the thing is that we didn't take military action against Nazi Germany just because we wanted to. We were sucked into that war. So, yeah, saying was military action necessary against the Nazis is kind of like counteractive because we literally did not have a choice to get into that war. The Japanese sucked us into that war. But state and local laws should have precedence over national laws. And that kind of...
Before you click there, because I think there's two ways of reading this, right?
Mm-hmm.
One is that the local government gets to do whatever the fuck they want. But the other way of looking at it is if, let's say, Texas says we are going to make it legal for 18-year-olds to drink. If the federal government then came and made a law which said the minimum drinking age is 21, should that law apply to Texas? Or is that an issue for the people of Texas to decide themselves? Because they have a older law.
See, that's kind of one of the things. Like, I get that. I kind of get that. That states should have their ways of doing that, but that kind of like goes into how much power state governments actually had over certain periods of time. So, for example, because there was not a federal law that literally said that Jim Crow laws and poll taxes and all that was illegal, that states were discriminating against people of a different race. So, and the reason that wasn't a thing is because there was not a constitutional amendment that forced every single state to do that. So
there was.
What?
There actually was the only.
Well, you're saying that there was, but
that's
history.
Why Jim Crow had to be separate but equal, right? Because you couldn't have unequal treatment between citizens. So in terms of, or in the eyes of the law, it had to be separate but equal. And poll tax, of course, was not regulated, but poll tax doesn't fundamentally have to do with your race.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that like it wasn't specifically against the race, but because it was targeted. That's the thing, is that they were targeting them. Because, yeah, it had nothing to do with race, but the facts did show that a lot of people who are not able to afford to go vote were the ones that were not able to do that. And then even were African Americans. Those were the ones who were not able to vote because they couldn't afford it. And even if they were able to afford it, they were able to pass the literacy and pay for the thing. They were chased out by people, but because they didn't want a black person voting. And there was no
against some other law.
But that was not being enforced.
Of course, but then that's a problem of enforcement, not of.
This is going to be the one question where I'm just going to say neutral and unsure, because the question doesn't really give that much context, and I actually kind of agree with Muse. He says that the problem is that the questions don't give enough context, so I'm going to go ahead and say neutral and unsure. There must be a separation between church and the state. I'm definitely going to say strongly agree to that.
Are you sure? Or should there be a...
I'm very sure.
Should you be allowed to say that some religions have affected us more than others?
Yeah, see, that's the thing, but I don't think that laws should be because of that, because it's against your religion. I don't think laws should be written for or against religion. So,
yeah, but separation between state and church, if taken to the logical extreme, could be Christmas is a working day, right?
Yeah.
So a total, maybe it's a balance gang.
Yeah,
right?
I've thought about that question before, so I actually do agree that church and state should be separate. Religion must decline for society to progress. See, that's also another thing. God, these are like really loaded questions, because religion, I sometimes believe, has actually held us back as a society.
You know who took care of the ancient texts back in the Middle Ages?
Who?
The monasteries.
Religion must decline.
You know, it was not the universities, but it was the monasteries. You know, who taught people how to read and write? It was the monks. So, and in some aspects, I'm sure that you can say that religion will lead to a decline, for example, in STEM fields. But they might actually preserve a lot in the more human term.
Human-caused climate change is currently one of the greatest threats to our way of life. I agree, but I don't strongly agree. I actually agree because I actually believe that it is a threat, but I think that, like, just because I'm also one of those people who kind of like doesn't think that just because you think it's an if or a but or something like that, I don't think trillions of dollars should be spent on an if. That's one of
Is it
the
caused by humans?
Yes, I do believe it's caused
Okay.
by humans.
Yeah, okay.
People should have to work for anything they get. Yes, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say agree to that. And then absolute freedom makes a society dangerous. Definitely strongly disagree. Direct democracy is the best form of government, and then
Hold up. I think you might have misunderstood. Absolute freedom makes a society dangerous. Absolute freedom would be anarchy, wouldn't it? Like Ancapistan or Ancomistan.
Yeah. Absolute freedom makes a society dangerous. Yeah.
Is Ancapistan dangerous, or is Ancomistan dangerous, or is it not?
Yeah, I kind of get that. Like, especially anarchism, and like, I really, really hate it. See, it's not giving enough context. That's one of the weird things. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say agree to that actually, because absolute freedom is kind of like one of those really, really retarded forms of government where you're just kind of like, oh my god, like literally you're trampling on my rights if you have any sort of law against this specific thing. Like, I think it's stupid.
I have the God-given right to piss in your cereal.
I have the God-given right to have a nuclear weapon. Like, that's no.
Precisely, that's why it's a good idea.
Direct democracy is the best form of government. I'm actually going to say disagree on that. Foreigners should never enter the country. Strongly disagree. Thank you.
That would mean I get to enter your country, PG. Are you sure?
Foreigners should never enter the country. Yeah, strongly disagree. That's my form. There should be compulsory military service. Ooh, that's a loaded one because I mean, it gives us more troops. It gives us more of a little bit of a thing, but I mean, it's actually really expensive to maintain, and conscription services is never really that popular. And plus, I mean, honestly, in the United States, I really don't think we have a need for compulsory military service.
In principle, though,
in principle,
Canada invades, who's going to defend the border?
I think one of the benefits of it is that it actually gets more people militarily active, and so yeah, like I mean, if there is like a surprise invasion by the Mexicans or the Canadians, like I think that it'll be beneficial because literally everyone would have that military training. I'm gonna go ahead and say agree. Because, I mean, I wouldn't say no to it, honestly. No authority should be left unquestioned. Yeah. Because...
Strongly or just agree?
I would say agree, because, I mean, I think that it should be left unquestioned to a point.
Who should you not question?
That's a hard one. If it threatens national security, and if it threatens the safety of others or someone, then yeah, it should be unquestioned, and you should probably just take their word for it. What?
Your platoon commander says, "Go strap into this bomb device and run into that building because there's tons of Canadians there, which are going to."
I like how we're using the Canadians now.
Yeah, of course, because we can be mean to the Canadians. What are they going to do? Apologize? But you know, if your commander says let's peacefully remove the Canadians with force, do you have a duty to obey that without question?
Yeah.
Will you be the the guard at Auschwitz or the guard at
Yeah.
Dalian?
Okay. Yeah, I could just say disagree, honestly. Not because you're talking me into it, because these are things that I've literally been questioning anyway. Because on the previous question, no authority should be left unquestioned. Because I'm one of the people who literally doesn't think. I literally think it is a violation of someone's rights that you're being told, like in Minnesota, for example, like people being shot by rubber bullets on their own property, and I think that's completely wrong. I think that
Then you
was
need to click agree, not disagree, because you agree to the statement that no
see
authority should be
again.
left
That's
unquestioned.
another thing. I'm kind of like getting these questions like confused. Okay, so I would agree then.
Yeah.
Okay, 25. National government must be strong to adequately protect all of its citizens. I would say yes and no because I believe that it a national government, one of its responsibilities should be national defense. I don't think that should be left up to the states unless we have like a Articles of Confederation kind of thing going on because that's literally what that was like during the Articles of Confederation.
Does the United States central government need to be stronger?
It says must be strong, not must be stronger. So that's
Yeah, but what's strong, right? Is the United States government currently strong?
um,
Probably.
I guess I would say slightly agree. People born to wealthy families have unfair success even when they aren't skilled and don't work hard. I would say disagree because, like, yeah, they are born into that, but they have to maintain, especially whenever they're out on their own. Like, they have to maintain that wealth.
I've just given you a gift. 26 euros. Does that mean you had an unfair advantage? I mean, isn't inheritance just another form of gift?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't give a gift to a person who's a total asshole. So you have to do something for it, even if it's very little.
Mm-hmm. So would I say agree or disagree?
Agree or no? You would disagree or strongly disagree.
Okay, so all right, I would just say agree. Governments should be as concerned about foreign citizens
Disagree.
as disagree.
Disagreement. Yeah,
I
because
literally
you
heard you say agree.
disagree with that statement.
Okay,
Yeah, you need a hearing aid, man.
I need a hearing aid. PG is easy to sway. See, no, it's not easy to sway me. I don't know if it looks like that, but it's not because I'm being swayed. It's literally because sometimes I'm actually too retarded to actually realize what the question is saying. Governments should be as concerned about foreign citizens as they are about those within their borders. Yeah, I believe that because especially domestically, I mean Timothy McVeigh, that's a big thing. So yeah, I think that governments should be as concerned about as wait. So I mean, it's kind of depending on how the depends on whether it's the government is worried
Do
about
foreign
citizens.
citizens have a right to welfare in your country on equal grounds with foreigners, or with natural borns?
Oh, see, I've ran into this question like multiple times. It's just because like I don't like again, it's not giving context. I would disagree with that then. Laws should
Yeah.
not be based on their religion. Yeah, strongly agree. Catering to popular opinion is detrimental to a nation. I'm gonna say disagree because there are some popular opinions that I kind of disagree with, and a lot of people disagree with. So yeah, so I kind of disagree with
You
that.
should click agree then.
Wait, why would it be agree? Catering to popular
You
opinion is
agree that
detrimental.
catering to popular opinion is detrimental. You agree that catering to popular opinion, no matter what it is a bad idea.
So, okay, so I literally didn't know what detrimental. Okay, tending to cause harm. Okay, so I would agree. Wow, I
Yeah.
literally did not pass English. The general populace makes poor decisions. I would slightly agree to that. The poor choose to be poor, and I would say disagree. Because they don't choose to be poor. I was poor.
Are you sure?
Yes, because I'm coming from experience from this question. The poor choose to be poor. No, they don't. They do not choose to be poor.
There are some welfare queens.
Yeah, there are welfare queens, but that's not like
they choose to be poor.
Okay, yeah. Specifically, if we're talking about the poor, like as a broad term, they do not choose to be poor. There are some people, yes, that they actually choose to be poor because they like getting off of welfare and all that. But like the majority of poor people, and this is coming from someone who is slightly poor, because they don't choose to be poor. I don't choose to be poor.
What about the trailer crash? Do they decide to choose to be poor, or
the trailer crash?
Such by circumstance? Trailer crash.
It really, I mean, you're kind of depends on their skills, their jobs, is because you don't know that person. You don't.
So how can you disagree that the poor choose to be poor if you don't know their motivation for it?
But I'm not gonna, because the reason is because I'm not gonna like put a broad term on someone. I mean, so there are times. I believe there are times. Huh?
Then you probably should be neutral, because you agree that there are welfare queens.
But at there are welfare queens, but you're talking about a very, very small amount of that. The state of Kansas tried to do something like that to catch those welfare queens, and they only caught maybe like, I think like a dozen people.
How many people live in Kansas?
Like
1,000?
4 million?
Yeah, so there are the deserving poor. You know, I'm not.
This is painful, Muse says. War is never justified. Again, disagree. Religion should be removed from everything in our government. That one I would say disagree to, because I think that I think changing the way our government works, if we were to take religion out of the US federal government, I mean, it's kind of like taking religion out of the British government. It's so like intertwined into it that you can't really want to do that. Otherwise, I feel like it would cause instability. So I'm going to say...
You want Christmas to be a working day?
No.
Then you probably might be disagreeing, yeah.
Yeah. Technological progress is usually good. Yeah, I would say agree to that. Not strongly, but I would say agree. United Nations should have a military to enforce its resolutions. I'm going to say neutral to that because there are benefits to it, but there are also really, really big downsides to it too. I really, really am against a big, like, globalized military. That would, like, unless we're fighting aliens or something, like, no.
We're going to make them see our peaceful and just ways.
Yeah.
By force.
And if you're going to be enforcing that, and I'm afraid about the politics that would be behind it. The more people ask, the better chance there is of reaching... The more people asked, the better chance there is of reaching the best decision. I think, yeah, because if you get more and more people to actually start asking the question, like, there's going to be more minds trying to find a solution to it. So I would say agree.
You don't ask a bum if you know about your cancer, do you?
I mean, that's also like because we don't have enough public research into it.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't ask a circus clown about cancer. You know, you ask a doctor.
Yeah. Maintaining family values is essential. I'm actually going to put neutral on that because there are benefits to family values, and if we're talking about putting it into state, local, or federal laws, then I don't think, because family values is such like a moral question, and morality is usually coming from religion. So I mean, family values, that's always going to be like, a nuclear family, some sort of thing where you're just like, you believe that it's essential that a man and a woman should be married. I believe that gays have a right to be married.
If we have statistics that prove that people who grow up in complete families do better than people who grow up in incomplete families,
Yeah.
isn't that a good thing?
Yeah. Well, I'm on the next question. I already put neutral on the other one. Public opinion swings too much with emotional events to be useful for policy making. I am going to say strongly agree to that. Because I think a lot of people, especially people who don't know anything about politics, like they usually only get involved whenever a very, very big emotional event happens. The stronger the leadership, the better. I'm going to say agree, but there are downsides to it. Military spending is a waste of money. I'm going to say disagree. We must go back to the basic way of life without modern conveniences. I'm going to say disagree because there are downsides to the modern conveniences that we actually have, but they are still beneficial to our way of life. Laws should be...
go camping?
Yeah.
As a kid? Yeah. That's kind of nice, isn't it? There's something good in that.
Yeah, but that's why I would say disagree, because there are benefits, but then there are also downsides, and I think the pros outweigh the cons. Or vice versa.
I'm just testing you.
Yeah. Laws should be completely consistent within all regions of a nation. I'm going to say neutral, disagree, because, again, that goes into the complete thing about whether a federal law should over-trump a state law, so I'm going to...
You're going to disagree because you
think I would
there
say disagree.
Local laws.
Yeah. People should think of themselves as citizens of their nation rather than their state. Also, I'm going to say neutral because there are benefits and downsides. The government should support and only recognize one religion. Strongly disagree. People should be given freedom whenever it causes little security risk. Yeah, kinda, but I'm kinda confused about the way the question is worded.
I think this means if, let's, for the argument, say we could eradicate Islamic terrorism, we would need the TSA.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or, if you could eradicate terrorism, it would be better to eradicate the TSA than keep it around, just for safety.
Yeah.
Let people do as they want, as long as there is no obvious negative with it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say neutral on that, honestly. If we accept migrants at all, it is important that they assimilate into our culture. I'm actually gonna say agree. Anyone coming into the... Yeah, I guess strongly, because I am actually strongly for assimilation. Jaden, this is just me taking the 9 axes test. I'm taking the full 216 question test, so you're just popping in whenever I'm being retarded. It's taken me 30 minutes to get through 50 questions. Wow. Traditional medicines are often more effective than modern medicines. I'm gonna say disagree. People should hold more loyalty to their local state than their country. If we were under Articles of Confederation, I think that would be a good agree, maybe strongly agree, but because that's not the case, since it's kind of in the middle now, I believe it's kind of more disagreeing. Local governments address,
Principle. Think in principle.
I am thinking in principle.
Not in specific.
49, local governments address the issues that the national government would never touch without them. Yeah, I'm going to say agree to that, because that's actually usually how it should work and how it does work.
Strongly or just agree?
Just agree. The elders in society know the best path for it. Disagree. Definitely disagree. Society was better many years ago than it was now. See, I actually kind of spout this out because I believe that the principle of how it was kind of like back in the, I think the 50s was actually one of the best areas, except one of the things was is that people are going to be like, oh well, I mean, you know, people were still being discriminated back in the 50s. Yeah, I know that. So one
probably
of the,
not a good thing to be a black, but probably very nice to be
but
white.
I think if we had that same principle now, except that we didn't have that discrimination, I believe that, I think if it were now, it would actually do that. So yeah, society sometimes was actually a little bit better than it was like now. So yeah, I'm actually gonna say agree to that. 50s is overrated, huh? Testing products on animals is ethical. I'm gonna say neutral, unsure, because that is usually like, I mean, you know, there's benefits to it because, you know, you don't have to test it on a human. I feel like that if we're doing it to animals, I feel like we should also do it to humans. Because if we have laws to protect animals from abuse, and whenever they're being abused in testing situations, then I don't know why we don't just do it to humans automatically, because we have this viewpoint that humans are way more important than animals. So I think it's kind of backward. Nobody but me can adequately represent my views. I'm going to say agree. United world government, I'm going to say strongly disagree. Well, see, united world government would be beneficial to mankind. I'm going to say disagree because there are benefits of a one world government, but I think the cons outweigh the pros on that part. So I'm going to say disagree, but not fully.
If there were aliens, right?
If there were aliens and they started attacking us, yeah, then it would be beneficial for the world to be united in one goal.
Until then, is it beneficial to you that there is a united world government?
Then no, I don't think so.
No. Okay.
A country cannot function without a national government. I'm going to say agree. I support single-payer universal health care. I'm going to say disagree on that. Lasting peace leads to prosperity. Strongly agree because that has been shown time and time again in the past. A better world will come from automation, science, and technology. I'm going to say agree because like the automation thing, that I kind of don't agree with the concept of that. Have you ever taken the iSide with presidential quiz? If not, that should be future live stream. Yes, I actually have. I'm usually kind of like toward the right on that, and I usually agree with people like Donald Trump. So I'm going to go ahead and say agree, but not strongly agree. The government should not break up monopolies. I'm going to say disagree because I don't think price controls to one company should be a thing. In order for humanity to survive, we must get past having separate nations. I'm going to say...
Hold on. You misread that question then.
Which one?
It should not break up. You agree that it should not break it up, correct?
I disagree because I think that they should break them up.
Okay. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah. In order for humanity to survive, we must get past having separate nations. I'm going to say disagree because I think we can still survive as long as we're separate, but at the same time, again, and unless like aliens start kicking our ass, like I think that we should have separate. I think like in the theory of space that we should have a united effort, especially as a world. But whenever it comes to domestic affairs, I think that we should be separate. So I'm going to say disagree. Leaders must be strong.
Would you say separate but equal?
Yeah, I was thinking about that a minute ago. Separate but equal. I mean, again, you can't really tell a nation what to do unless we have a one world government, so... Leaders should be strong or a nation will suffer. Yeah, I'm going to say... I would say agree because stronger nations with strong leaders have actually been beneficial and have actually been able to keep peace. Even if that peace has actually just been violence just under an umbrella. Subdivision of the nations should have their own militaries. No, sorry, but no. We should have no right to
Guard.
militarily intervene in other nations. I'm going to say they also disagree because there are reasons that we actually need to intervene. Hey, Damien, thank you so much for that donation. Really appreciate it. It helps out. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even if it is wrong. Definitely disagree. United Nations should be abolished. I'm going to say agree to that, because I don't think that the United Nations is actually... Until the United Nations is beneficial, then my opinion will change. But it's more of a mixed bag. But I just don't think that the United Nations is that essential or effective right now. In the modern era, militaries aren't really necessary. I'm going to say disagree to that. Immigrants can never really adapt to our way of life. I'm going to say disagree, because there are first and second generation immigrants that actually adapt to it. The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty. Strongly disagree.
Technically, though, that could be true.
Technically it could, but in my opinion, I don't think. Like, the very existence of the state, yeah, I mean, in principle, yeah. But whenever it comes to actually implementing it, then it's somewhat... It's beneficial and then non-beneficial. But the very existence of the state is beneficial. So I'm going to say strongly disagree. Because I really think that anarchism is retarded, honestly. National cultures are important to protect. I'm going to say agree to that. It is very important to maintain law and order. I'm going to say agree. Which, in specific cases, yes, it is. I'm going to agree to it. But there are cases where, you know, if there's a riot or protest because of what's going on now, then, I mean, it kind of does send a message. But then at the same time, I also don't want to... I don't want to justify violence happening, and that's what a lot of people are doing. So I'm going to say agree. And for those watching right now, if you actually want to support me in what I do, becoming a member actually does help my channel out. And so whenever I actually do become a little bit bigger and I actually have more members, just by hitting that blue join icon, if you actually become a member, I will actually be holding a lot more live streams privately for members of my channel. So if you are interested in that, please become a member today. Governments should be accountable to the international community. I'm going to say neutral, because there are benefits to that and then there are not benefits to it, because, like, it kind of comes to, like, how much power as a nation you have. It's a good idea to test a policy in one state rather than implementing it nationwide right away. I'm going to say agree, actually. Sex outside of marriage is immoral. I'm going to say strongly disagree. Religion is beneficial for society. I'm going to say neutral and unsure, because there are benefits to religion, there are not benefits to religion, especially whenever you implement it as a law. A nation usually needs a military in order to survive. I'm going to say strongly agree, actually. Anybody who wants to enter the country should be able to. I'm going to say agree.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because
I'm not completely against immigration.
Yeah, but this is endless. This is eternal.
Yeah.
Because it's anyone, isn't it?
That's why I said agree. I didn't say strongly.
No limits. Okay.
I think there should be limits, but... Okay, hang on. Previous. Anybody who wants to enter the country. Okay, so yeah, I guess I would say disagree.
That's how I read it, anyway.
Okay. Because I believe there should be limits. That's in my opinion. These questions are too vague for me. Yeah, see, it's kind of getting to that point with me too. And that's why I'm somewhat having trouble reading these questions. Each person should have one vote, each equal to every other. Strongly agree to that. Well, see, I'm going to say... College. Like, yeah, immediately I was like, electoral college, and I was like, wait, hang on. Because I do support the electoral college. That's one thing. So would I say disagree?
Well, the House of Representatives, right? You like that. So, and that's, in theory at least, you know, proportional to the population.
Yeah.
Maybe just agree, but but strongly agree I think is wrong.
Yeah, I got that.
Agree. Go agree.
Illegal immigrants should be deported in most or all cases. I'm going to go ahead and say agree to that, actually. Because if you come in here illegal, I believe that you should be punished for it, and I don't think that you should be thrown in jail for it, but I think you should just be sent back.
What do you think about perfect citizenship?
I kind of think that's also BS, because I don't think that, like, it should be a game with you. I don't think you should, because that kind of comes into the whole thing with DACA. Like, I somewhat support DACA, because they didn't have a choice in coming here. They were not consulted. They were not asked. The national government can't understand what the people need. I think if we get more people into the national government, then they will understand what they need. So I guess right now I can at least say agree, because they really don't, especially with the approval ratings that Congress actually has. Until that changes, then my opinion will change on that.
Could this be an economic question, though?
The national government can't understand what the people need.
Could this be an argument for planned economy? I don't know, but that's how I read it.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if it's going off of like a social point or an economic point. It's not telling me. I'm gonna say neutral and unsure, because I don't know if it's social or economical. Casually plays a political process while listening. That's funny. We should be more accepting of other cultures. It goes into the melting pot point of view, so I get that. I'm gonna go ahead and say unsure, because
all cultures.
I'm gonna say neutral and unsure. I support gay marriage. Strongly agree. State laws should have precedence over national laws. I'm gonna say disagree, because of some of the stuff that I have actually discussed earlier. I'm gonna say disagree. So society should not function without leaders and followers. Yeah, wait, should not function without leaders and followers. I'm gonna say agree.
Good. Yeah.
Only extremely talented immigrants, if that, should be permitted to enter the country. I'm also gonna say disagree to that, because I don't think it should be limited to only extremely talented people. I think people just wanting to get out of their country should be allowed to come in. So I'm gonna say disagree to that.
Yeah, but how are you going to have limits then? If anyone,
I think there should be limits, but I also don't think that it should only be to what your skills are. I don't think we should have
little Hoa who can't read and write. Should he be allowed into the country? Isn't that just a massive drain?
I don't know. I agree with the way I answered it, though. If AI could rule more effectively than humans, then AI should rule. Strongly disagree. Because we have the Matrix. All societies are a blend of cultures. I'm going to say disagree, because there are some societies that are actually not blends of cultures. They're only a blend of one culture, i.e. the Middle East, honestly. Huh?
96% white American.
Illegal immigrants do not provide a benefit to the hosting country. Okay, economically you could say that, but their economic impact is actually very, very small compared to how much we're actually spending on illegal immigrants. So
this is netto.
Wait, this is what?
This is netto. So, okay, if we were to express this in dollars, say they bring in $10 worth of cash, right? But they cost society 20. Their netto is minus 10, right? Are they netto again?
Yeah, that's why I was saying agree, because they don't have that much of a benefit. They're not bringing in more than they're sucking up, basically.
I'm just double checking it.
Tradition usually just hinders the progress of technology. Hmm. I would say slightly agree, honestly. Oh,
Are you
here's
sure?
yes, I'm very sure.
Are you very sure? Okay.
Yes.
I
Stop
won't
stop
discuss it then.
questioning me.
No, I will question you. That's my right.
Immigrants are a net positive. I'm going to say strongly disagree because we literally just came to that conclusion a little bit ago. It is important that we further my group's goals above all others. I'm actually going to disagree with that. A government must maintain a strong military to defend itself. I'm going to say strongly agree. The benefits of open borders would outweigh the costs. I'm going to say strongly disagree, especially with the concept of open borders. I am extremely against that. Can you play political process next? I actually played political process a little bit ago. I became the at-large representative of Alaska. Alliances are more important for protecting a nation. It really depends on whether you're protecting yourself or others, honestly. But yeah, I'm actually really in tune with the concept of protecting nations through alliances, so I'm going to say agree. We should put effort into getting a person on Mars in the near future. Strongly agree, actually, because I am extremely for space exploration. Oppression by corporations more of a concern than oppression by governments. I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say agree. No, oppression. It really depends on what you're talking about oppression with. I'm gonna say neutral and unsure. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
All humans share a common identity. I'm gonna say disagree, honestly. The freer the market, the freer the people. I'm gonna say agree. To chase progress at all costs is dangerous. I'm gonna say agree, actually. A hierarchical state is best. I'm gonna say agree. The government has no business looking into most people's personal lives. Very strongly agree. The national government protects minorities better than some local governments do. I'm going to say disagree because, I mean, if you're talking specifically about. I'm going to say disagree because you're talking specifically about, like, common. What was the federal program for colleges?
But in the United States, the federal government is what stepped in and ended Jim Crow.
It wasn't the federal government I was doing Jim Crow. It was state
No,
governments.
it ended Jim Crow.
Oh,
So the
I thought you
federal
said.
government did a better job of taking care of the blacks than the state government did.
Let me go to previous. I'm gonna say slightly agree then. People should have the equal opportunity to succeed. I'm gonna say agree. Traditions are of no value on their own. Yeah, I'm gonna say agree on that.
To debate that one?
Not right now because I actually do understand where it's coming from. Border protection is important. Strongly agree. Elections are a waste of resources. Strongly disagree. Genetic modification. Huh?
That's half your content after all.
Elections are a waste of resources. Yeah, basically. I'm going to say strongly disagree. Genetic modification should be used rarely, if ever. I'm going to say slightly agree because there are benefits to genetic modification, but I don't think it should be widespread.
A wild hog contra, a domesticated pig. Pigs are kind of useful, aren't
like, they? GMOs, I mean, if we're going into GMOs, that's completely separate topic. Countries that do not serve our interests should be toppled. Disagree. Sorry, but disagree. Technology is negatively affecting modern society. I'm going to say disagree because I think the pros of technology are actually outweighing the cons. Alright. Representatives rarely represent the nation well. I could say neutral to disagree because I think the representative government that we actually have is still beneficial as long as it's not taken advantage of.
If you had one representative per 10,000 people, they would probably be able to represent you very well. But when it's 1 for 100,000, how effective is that?
Yeah. I'm gonna say agree, I guess. Abortion should be legal in all cases. I'm gonna say disagree because I am actually pro-choice, but I do believe that there should be a limit on when you should get your abortion. I think like 3 months or probably even before 3 months is actually going to be like kind of like the cutoff. If you get pregnant, yeah, if you choose to get that abortion, you should, like, if that's going to be your choice. I don't think the government should be getting involved in your choices. But at the same time, I do think that there are. I don't think it should be illegal in all cases and whenever you want. So I'm going to say disagree with that. Nobody in other countries has our best interests in mind. I'm gonna say agree because I mean that's literally everyone. Because if I was answering some of the earlier questions in specific ways, I'm basically not taking other national interests in mind. And usually, whenever I talk about these sort of things, I'm taking that national interest in mind. Subdivisions should not be able to exempt. Should be able to be exempt from national laws. I'm gonna say should not. Let's say agree.
Do you think that okay, so should, if you were to implement conscription, should conscription be applied in Guam or the U.S. Virgin Islands?
Not whenever they're states, no.
Okay, but Guam and the Virgin Islands, which are not states, but are territories or subdivisions, should they be exempt? Should Puerto Rico be exempt from the conscription in the United States?
I believe so, yeah. There are benefits, but then there are also benefits. I feel like if you're not able to vote for the president in certain cases, and because you're able to vote in a primary, but you're not able to vote in the actual election, and if you're not, like in Puerto Rico, if you're being conscripted because like you believe that, I don't know, it's kind of like a mixed bag. I'm gonna go ahead and say neutral, honestly.
Or like the Amish, should they be
exempted? Yeah, I get that. That's why I'm gonna say neutral, because there's kind of like so many back and forths between that. Okay, whistleblowers should be protected. Should be strongly protected. It really, really depends on what they're revealing. Like, if the government is doing something wrong, then yeah, I think that they should be protected. But if they're revealing, like Edward Snowden, he was revealing like secrets and weapon secrets to certain weapon systems, that should not be protected, because you're basically saying, hey, here's my things and you're profiting off of it. So I don't think you should be doing that. But if they're protecting it, like if the NSA is like doing something wrong, they're listening to our phone calls or looking at my browser history or something like that, like I don't want the government knowing what kind of porn I watch. So so like
agree then.
I would say agree, honestly. Environmental regulations are essential. I'm gonna say slightly agree, because there are benefits to it, but I don't think that there should be overprotection of the environment, because I
think you misunderstand this. Are they essential?
Are they essential?
Will society collapse without?
Yeah, I'm gonna say disagree then. The internet should be banned. No, come on. Marijuana should be legalized. Strongly agree. Having independent nations with the risk of global conflict creates a larger threat to humanity as a whole. See, the way it's worded... Technically,
it's probably true.
Yeah, it's true, because like nuclear weapons.
In reality, it's probably not true, because then we would have tribal warfare or shit like that. We'd find a way to kill each other.
I'm gonna say disagree, because like like if you're talking about specifically nuclear weapons, yeah, that's going to create a large threat to humanity. But independent nations, we've been in our longest, humanity recently has been in its longest period of peace in its lifetime, because we've been constantly at war, and since recorded history, we are now in our longest period of peace. So I would say disagree. People should not have protections that could hinder discovering their criminal activity. People should not have protections that could hinder discovering that. I think until that criminal activity is discovered, because there's still ways to actually discover it, should not have that. Okay, so the protections that are actually protecting them from that criminal activity being discovered.
Should
the principle? This is whenever principle comes in. Like with me, the principle of having that wall that kind of helps you from that, like, because this is kind of like talking about the Constitution, I guess.
Should the NSA be allowed to look at your porn, or should they not?
No, I don't think they should. So I would
disagree. No,
disagree. Yeah. See, again, the one of my issues, it's not that I'm like having trouble figuring out what the question is. It's because of the way it's worded. When people have already suffered for technology, for technology to be developed, we should use that technology. Depends on what you're talking about being suffered. I mean, if you're talking about suffering to develop it, I mean,
this is post them suffering. So should we, the way I read this, should we use medical knowledge which the Nazis discovered by testing it on the Jews?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, if it brings benefit towards society, then yeah.
That's how I read the question, at least. But
because I mean, without Nazi technology, we wouldn't be where we are with space technology, and we have them to thank for that. So yeah. Alliances can pose a threat to a nation's sovereignty. I could say agree, but also disagree. So I'm going to go ahead and say neutral.
No, it does. It really does. Because, you know, when you guys went into Iraq and Iran and whatever, suddenly we had to help you out, didn't we?
Yeah, but you also had the choice to do that.
Yeah, but, you know, if the Americans are knocking at your door, you know, we need to station some troops in your country. We need to station some, some tanks in your country. Do you really have a choice?
People's freedom should have no limits. I'm going to say disagree because, like, you know, I don't think that you should have a nuclear weapon. Like, I don't think, like, saying it's my freedom to have this shouldn't be that much of a thing. So I'm going to say disagree, but not strongly. Because
so you're
personally,
fine with hate speech.
Huh?
You're fine with hate speech laws.
See, again, it's talking. Oh my god, I really hate how vague these questions are. No limits.
Should my freedom of speech have limits?
I don't think there should be restrictions on freedom of speech, but I believe that there should be limits on freedoms that you have. If you're saying freedom to have a tank or something like that, it's kind of BS. But I'm gonna go. I guess in principle, I'm gonna say agree. Waits till you answer every question. Yeah, just go ahead and mute me until I figure all this out. I'm on 122 out of 216, so I'm starting to get through them. What do you think about all 4 officers being charged? I think it's good. I think it's good that all 4 of them were charged. Nations fighting among each other gets in the way of progress. I'm going to say disagree, actually, because nations fighting amongst each other, some of the greatest technological advances in human history have been brought here because of war. So I'm going to say disagree. Equality of outcome is important. I kind of don't understand this question now.
If Okay. If you're giving $100, and I'm given $100, and we're going to make as much money as we can off those $100, is it unfair if I make $1,000 on that $100 and you make 500, or is it fine because we were giving both given $100, so to speak?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay for me to make double as much as you because by some way I made more
Okay,
money?
I get it. So, like, just because equality of outcomes, so we're talking about, like, certain
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
like, getting richer, poorer, something like that. Mm, I guess I'm gonna say disagree, because I think it's fair that some people get rich and some people get poor. Like, in principle, like, even if it's me, yeah, it sucks. But I'm not sitting here hating like Jeff Bezos just because he has $150 billion. Like, that's not something that makes me spiteful at him. The only reason a lot of people are is because they're spiteful.
Yeah. Disagree then.
And just for a moment, I'm actually going to go ahead and halt this live stream. So just one moment for you guys. Alright, and I am back. The government should not regulate the economy at all. I'm going to say disagree because I do agree with certain regulations, but I think there should be a limit on those regulations, so that's why I'm going to say slightly disagree instead of strongly. I was able to become president on normal difficulty. Hee hee. Ha 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 ha. Nice. Democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others we've tried. I'm going to say disagree. Religion usually provides the truth. I'm going to say disagree because I disagree with a lot of different things that religion has done and said.
Is truth different from fact?
Sometimes, not all the time.
Okay.
Government-owned industry is usually a bad idea. I'm gonna say agree, but there are certain instances where government intervention inside of a sector is actually beneficial. As long as it's not like a total planned economy, I'm kind of neutral on it. Local governments give each region good representation of their views. Locally, yeah, I would say agree. Locally, especially locally, most bad things happening in the world are caused by us turning away from religion. I'm gonna say, see, I kind of agree with this concept because sometimes I do believe that, and especially back in the 50s, I think it was because there was a stronger instance of government having religion, and a lot of people did believe in religion, so they were a little more respectful toward each other. But because we have strayed away from religion,
if everyone behaved like the perfect Christian, life would probably be very good.
Maybe
so less people behaving like good Christians is probably a bad thing.
In principle, yeah. I kind of agree with it. So, I don't know. Everybody should speak at least 2 languages. I'm going to say disagree. Because I believe that everyone should assimilate. Economies without any capitalism will collapse. I'm going to say agree, actually. Because even China is one of those countries that they're still practicing some sort of capitalism.
Surely would strongly agree.
Yeah, I would say strongly agree because I am absolutely against communism. I believe that there is something after death. I'm gonna say slightly agree. That's kind of a personal personal thing. I'm agnostic, actually, so for those watching, if you were wondering, I'm actually agnostic. Religious clothing should be banned from the public. No, strongly disagree. Even burqas, I'm saying burqas. There's no harm to you if someone's wearing a burqa in public, honestly, so international trade is generally beneficial. I'm gonna say agree. War usually leads,
There's a danger there, isn't there? Because you become so dependent upon China, and suddenly.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm gonna say slightly instead of strongly. War usually leads to worse outcomes. I'm gonna say disagree because again, it kind of goes into that technological research and that advance. Because most of the strongest advances in human history have come from some of the worst wars that we've had. Hey, what's going on, Michael? Welcome back. Communism, if implemented correctly, would be a good form of economics. I'm going to say strongly disagree. I enjoy some foreign cultures. Me personally, I'm going to say yes. Because I actually...
love Norwegians.
Yeah, I mean, Norwegian, Scandinavian culture is actually really interesting to me, as well as African culture. African culture, especially, personally to me, is actually really interesting. The government should have access to the emails of suspected terrorists. Okay, if we're talking about suspected terrorists, then I'm gonna say strongly agree.
PG, I suspect you of being a terrorist. Give me your emails.
To the emails of suspected. I'm gonna say agree. I'm gonna walk that back a little bit. A nation must obey its leadership without question. I'm gonna say strongly disagree to that. In principle, I'm gonna say strongly disagree. Okay, if we're talking about principle, yeah. Communism would not work. I disagree. Communism would always work, Seb. Come on. Communism is a great economic viewpoint.
For the glory of comrades.
For the glory of the comrades. Power to the people. No, I'm just kidding. In general, immigrants are bad for the country. I'm going to say disagree because there are benefits to having immigrants. I just think that it should be controlled. I'm not fully against it.
Netto? Is there netto benefit?
See, that discussion would go on forever. I wouldn't be able to finish this political test. If we're talking about legal immigrants, yes, there is a net benefit. If we're talking about illegal benefits, then there's not a benefit to illegal. But if we're talking about legal specifically, then yeah, there are benefits to it. I'm just not gonna dive that deep into it right now. PG equals jokes. I was never a communist. I was a Bernie supporter back in the day. Democracy makes it too easy for a majority to further itself at the expense of minorities. I'm gonna say agree. Yeah, honestly, that's kind of how it is. And that's why I believe that there are benefits to the representative democracy that we actually have. Public utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. I'm going to say strongly agree.
No, you don't. Should electricity be owned by the state?
If we're talking about the production of electricity, then yeah.
Okay, so all power plants should be owned by the state.
See, all right, I'll walk it back to agree.
Yeah, because I didn't think you wanted the state to own all the power plants.
Yeah, whatever. Because see, the thing is that it's if we're talking about public utilities like roads, especially roads and electricity, then yeah, I believe that there should be a public. I'm kind of along the lines of I believe that there should be public intervention in several things, which is military and defense, infrastructure, and electricity, stuff like that. So that's why I'm kind of more. But if we're talking about healthcare, other things, retail, stuff like that, that should not be state owned. No, it shouldn't be. But public utilities, yes.
But should I not be allowed to own a toll
You should be allowed to, so that's why I'm saying slightly agree.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just looking into your logic.
Yeah,
Second
I'm
guessing
not
you.
saying that public or private companies shouldn't be allowed to do it, but I do believe that a majority of it should be owned by the public because to make sure that that it is distributed fairly, I believe that the government should have that power.
Kapistan, we don't need roads. We all get helicopters.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay. What was that name? What was that guy's? Pinochet.
Something like that.
All
Yeah.
right, Pinochet. A group of states without a strong national government is merely an alliance, not a nation. See, I'm gonna say slightly disagree because I kinda get the concept of the Articles of Confederation because it was a very, very weak central government. It was a very weak central government, but they actually were just going on their own interests, on the state interests instead of the national interest. So I kind of get it. So I'm gonna say slightly disagree. Every religion must be looked upon equally by the government. I'm gonna say agree because if we're talking about the separation of church and state, I believe that if a government actually looks at a religion differently, like say like Islam, because of what you hear about Islam doing in the news and all that, that is still actually looking at them differently, so you're not treating them equally. So I do believe that they actually should be looked upon equally, no matter what religion you are. Yeah, Pinochet was a Chilean dictator. I know, it's an inside joke between me and PTK. There should not be international law. I'm gonna say disagree because we've had several instances World War II where there are reasons why we have international law. So yeah, that's kind of the way I kind of look at it. Only those who serve.
You don't need international law to punish the defeated. You can do that.
Yeah, but the last time we did it without international law, it was a complete failure, and then that led to the Second World War.
No, the last time we did it, we hanged the Nazis. There was no international law before after the Nazis, or at least in that sense.
After the Nazis, yes, there was. Yeah. But if we're talking about like where there was an attempt to international law, which was the League of Nations, but that was struck down, so the United States was not able to lead the League of Nations. So if we're talking about that, then let me go back to the question.
International law did not stop the Nazis. It did not stop the communists.
But that's because there was no international law. The League of Nations was formed, but it was not. There was no attempt to actually stop because there was no way for the League of Nations to actually do that because the United States and very strong countries were not a part of the League of Nations.
Germany was, Britain was, France was, Italy was. You know, all the major world powers outside of Russia and the United States.
Yeah.
And the United States was not a superpower at the time.
It was a rising power.
Yeah. Okay, if you want to, we can discuss that later.
Yeah. Only those who serve in the military should be allowed to have influence on who is in power. I'm gonna say disagree because military dictatorships are quite bad, honestly.
Are you against the draft in that case?
Yeah, slightly.
You have to sign up for the draft.
I don't think
to get the vote.
I don't think there should be any restrictions on anyone's vote. Children should be educated in religious values. I'm going to say disagree. There are benefits to actually being educated in religious values, but at the same time, I don't think it should be like publicly sanctioned. So yeah, disagree. Definitely disagree. The government must be by the people for the people. Yeah. And it really depends on what area you're looking at whenever you're talking about the people, but if we're talking about constitutionally by the people for the people, then yeah, definitely. Peace is preferable to war whenever possible. Yeah, I'm gonna say agree. I'm gonna definitely say agree. I'm not really the one that really likes to go to war unless it is necessary. Our culture would be better with other cultures mixed in more. I'm gonna say neutral on that. I'm not really gonna get into that, so I'm gonna say neutral. Capitalism is better than any existing alternative. I'm gonna say agree. There are downsides to capitalism, but I think it's extremely needed. Countries fall apart with constant war. Yeah. If we look at the United Kingdom during the interwar period and then after the Second World War, yeah, that was definitely an example of that.
How the year with 50 emperors in Rome? Rome came out of that stronger than ever.
Which part? Are you talking about, like, the breakup of Rome?
No. There was a period where Rome had 50 emperors, and constant civil war. And then they overcome that, and they were strong for a pretty long period of time again, where it's peace and stability.
I mean, with constant war, I mean, it really depends, because if you're investing all of your public resources into winning that war, then yeah, you're going to fall apart. Oh no, I'm going to say disagree. Diplomacy only hurts nations. I'm going to say disagree. From each according to his ability to each according to his need. I'm actually going to say strongly disagree. Because I know that's from the Communist Manifesto.
Good boy.
There should be no police force. Strongly disagree. Technology is not always beneficial. Is not always beneficial. I'm gonna say agree, because there should be, like, traditional ways of solving issues. Police need more power and protection. I'm gonna say disagree. The government should monitor all citizens to combat terrorism. I'm gonna say strongly disagree. The United Nations needs more power. Strongly disagree. Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. I'm going to say disagree.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm very sure. If, again, government surveillance, we're talking about surveillance.
Okay.
I'm going to say is necessary, and I'm going to say disagree. There are benefits, so that's why I'm doing the slightly. If I ever do slightly, it's because there are benefits, but then there are also very big downsides to it.
Just second guessing it.
Stop second guessing me, boy. International aid is a waste of money. Really, really depends on where it's going, but if we're just, like, handing money out, I'm gonna say agree to that.
The way we are doing it today is probably a total waste of money.
Yeah, and honestly, like, with the way the United States is distributing that money, yeah, it is a waste of money. It's a little too bureaucratic.
Yeah.
It is important to maintain our national sovereignty. Strongly agree. Most drugs should be legalized. I'm going to say slightly agree, because I don't think the government should be telling you what to do. A country must be sure to take all measures to enforce its laws. I'm going to say disagree, because the concept of decriminalization and deregulation is kind of where I don't think that law should be enforced. Like, the enforcement of the illegality federally of the consumption of marijuana, like, I don't think that should be enforced strictly.
But then you need to work to decriminalize it, don't you?
Yeah.
Rather than just ignoring the law.
Yeah, see, and again, but if we're talking about taking all measures to enforce every single law that we have, then I would say disagree. Because there are certain laws that we still have that are disagreeable. Diplomatic options should be always tried before war is even considered. I'm going to say... Like, okay, so I'm actually going to say disagree to this, because, like, if it starts because someone uses chemical weapons against a person, I don't think there's any diplomatic option but to strike. So I'll
Are you
disagree. I'm very sure.
okay? Okay.
It is important that we maintain the traditions of our past. Since the United States is always changing, I would say
Principle, though.
disagree. In principle, yeah, I guess I would agree because I was kind of thinking about the United Kingdom because they have been so like into they've been like very very strong with their traditions of their past. So yeah, I guess I would say agree. Local governments can understand their citizens better than the national government could. I would say agree. People should have the right to leave their wealth to their descendants. Yeah, strongly agree. Honestly, we should not allow any refugees. I'm gonna say slightly disagree. My nation should stay out of international affairs. I'm gonna say disagree, especially since we are the strongest nation. Our only national languages should be spoken in our country. I'm gonna say neutral and unsure because I don't really have an issue with people speaking Spanish, especially since I live in Texas for one thing. So it's not really an issue with me.
Could this robber be in an official sense?
In an official sense, I think it's actually unconstitutional for us to do that. So that's why I kind of wanted to say disagree to unsure.
In principle here, should the court have to operate in Spanish or German or Alaskan or, I don't know, fucking ping pong Chinaman, right?
I'm gonna go ahead and say unsure.
Okay.
Only those who served in the military should be able to gain power in government. I'm gonna say disagree. Any deals other countries want must be bad for us. Really, really depends. I'm gonna say a neutral, unsure to that. We are the first and foremost citizens of Earth. Honestly, if it comes to aliens, hell yeah, America. Genetic
There are no aliens, are there?
Well, it's either we're alone in the universe or we're not alone in the universe. Both are equally terrifying.
Until there are aliens, surely you would disagree because you're first and foremost an American until the aliens come around.
Wait, we are first and foremost citizens. Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
I read that completely wrong. What the hell? Yeah, I'm gonna say strongly disagree, actually. Try not to get distracted by the chat. Genetic modification is a force for good, even on humans. I'm gonna say disagree. As long as it's not like widespread, but that's why I'm saying slightly. Strong states weaken a nation. I would say disagree because there are benefits to strong states. My nation is closer to my views than most nations in the world. I would say agree, yeah, honestly, personally.
You belong in North Korea, dude.
I really do belong in North Korea.
You're a bloody communist.
My nation is closer to my views than most nations in the world. Yeah, I guess. Basic needs needed to live, such as healthcare, are rights. I'm actually strongly disagreeing with that. Honestly, because I don't think because someone has to give you that service. It's a service. I believe that it is a service. It's not a right. Because someone has to give it to you, and I don't think that person should be forced to give it to you. And that's why we have different companies and doctors and all that. Like, popular opinion is not always right. I'm going to say agree to that.
You strongly disagree, surely.
Strongly agree?
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Popular opinion is that we should be able to own nuclear arms.
Shut up.
You strongly disagree with that.
Shut up. People must be allowed to follow a religion. Yes, agree. I'm going to say agree. No cultures are superior to others. Oh,
some
boy.
Some are. Come on, some are.
I don't know. I'm gonna say neutral on that, Chief. I'm gonna stay out of that discussion right there.
Are you seriously telling me that the culture who eats dogs is equal to the ones who don't eat dogs? Come on.
I'm gonna say neutral, Chief. There are many issues that it does not. Okay, hang on. Let me go back. No cultures are superior to others. I don't know. It's a really hard question because see, I don't want to look at it as like an emotional argument because that's what a lot of people look at it. They look at this and are like, "Oh, I can't believe you would ask me that question." Yeah, I agree or disagree. Like, but see, I don't partake in any sort of culture unless you like.
You're a gamer.
Yeah, I'm a gamer. Like, unless you want to consider gaming a culture, like.
No, but it's a subculture, right?
I'm gonna say neutral.
Okay.
There are many issues. Okay. Whatever. There are many issues that it does not make sense to address at a local level. I would say agree. There is no higher power. I'm gonna say disagree. War is needed to make an economy thrive. I would say slightly agree because again, expansion and all that usually happens during war.
It's not needed, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, like again, some of the strongest economic and technological advancements have happened during or after war. So countries that violate human rights should be toppled. I'm gonna say disagree because of Iraq. I'm gonna say disagree because unless you have a plan to do that. To topple that government and what happens after that government is toppled, then yeah, I mean, I get that the violation of human rights is gross. It's bad, but because of Iraq and how Iraq was botched, then yeah, it shouldn't. I'm gonna say disagree. The government should not fund any religious organizations in any way. I'm gonna say agree to that. It is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers. I'm going to say disagree. Religion does not belong in government. I'm going to say agree. My religious values should be spread as much as possible. Disagree.
That's personal though, isn't it?
Yeah. But I'm not even religious.
Level, yeah, okay.
People should vote issue by issue themselves. Yeah, definitely. The wealthy,
so like a referendum on every case.
There are benefits to referendums, and there are also not benefits to it. That's why we have a representative democracy.
Isn't that what the question is asking?
I guess I would say disagree because people are going to vote on it and then just go off of their emotions. The wealthy have far more than they need. I'm going to say disagree because, again, I'm not like spiteful of Jeff Bezos for having $145 billion.
Need is a private thing.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Yeah, it's personal. Like, I'm not sitting there saying, like, you need to spread your wealth with me because I'm poor. Like, I think that's unfair. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. Disagree, because I don't think we should rely on the rich. If you have nothing to hide, then you shouldn't care about the government having access to your communications. I'm going to say strongly disagree. It is better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. I would say agree because I agree to welfare to a point, but I don't think that everyone should be benefiting off of that. But at the same time, I also slightly agree with things such as like a universal basic income, but I'm not exactly thinking that it should be implemented right now.
Can I raise a point there?
Sure.
Because if you're not running a balanced budget, you're taking on debt. Do you have a right to settle the future generations with debt?
But it really depends also because
I mean, if you're going to war, of course, I get it, but yeah.
Laws should vary from area to area and culture to culture within a country. I'm going to say disagree.
be a state, though.
But culture
The
to
Amish.
culture. If we're talking culture to culture. Because
Amish versus regular American.
I'm gonna say neutral. Because that's a kind of like, I have completely different views from area to area and then culture to culture. Like, for example, like from area to area, yeah, you're talking about from like Pennsylvania to Texas. But then if you're going culture to culture, if you have a Muslim majority area and then they start implementing laws that restrict what women do, what children do, what basic human rights against the principle of the country, then yeah, like that's where I kind of disagree with it, especially if you're going to be going from culture to culture.
Indian reservation law can differ very greatly from local law.
I'm going to say neutral.
Like gambling. Okay.
Democracy is more than a decision-making process. I would say agree.
Technically, it's not, but yeah.
Yeah.
Probably is.
Faith is complete nonsense. I'm gonna say strongly disagree, actually, because there are reasons for you to have faith. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. I'm gonna say disagree because, like, it's kind of there are reasons for violence sometimes, and especially if you want a change, violence is necessary. 1776, huh?
With India movement, Gandhi was able to free India from the British without violence.
Which one?
So, the Quit India movement, I believe, is the name of it.
You talking about like Gandhi?
Yeah.
And the thing is actually, I think one of the things is actually the British were actually literally getting ready to leave anyway.
Yeah, but you have the collapse of the Soviet Union. You didn't really have any violence.
Yeah.
It a failed, but so I don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it's no. I absolutely do not think it's necessary. But if it comes to that point, then yes, it is necessary.
I don't know if necessary is the correct word. It's expedient, sure, but I don't think it's necessary. In the true sense.
So I guess I would say agree.
Do you think violence is acceptable?
In very, very, very rare cases.
Then you disagree.
Okay. Religious organizations often provide better assistance to the poor than the government does.
Technically, I think that's true on
the because I've actually gotten assistance like that from religious organizations, so I could actually say agree to that.
I think,
but I don't think that private charities should be the welfare that people get. I think there should still be a little bit of welfare that the government does provide.
Sure.
Traditions are important. I'm gonna say agree. Constant state of war benefits a country. Again, it's kind of going in. I guess I would say agree because of some of the stuff that I have actually said earlier. Again, benefits. Again, human history.
But it's, the big boom after the Second World War was after the war.
But not a constant. Yeah, I guess disagree then. Those that disagree with the government should be removed from the country. Definitely disagree. Theocracy is a good system of government. Strongly disagree. Elections are an effective way of showing government approval. Yeah, I would say agree. You can disapprove of a government, but then like something could happen and then they're just like, oh wait, hang on. States cannot function.
The problem with that one is not everyone votes.
Yeah, and not everyone's going to vote, so...
Yeah.
That's what I would say slightly.
Sure. Yeah.
States cannot function without a strong national government. Articles of Confederation kind of proved that, so yeah, I would say agree. Excessive government.
You do have Switzerland, where there is basically no national government, but
it's just the council of like states that they have.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say neutral. Because there are benefits, but then there's not benefits. Excessive government intervention is a threat to the economy. I would say strongly agree. Excessive is really bad. I support regional unions such as the European Union. Strongly disagree. Really don't like it. I am proud to be in my country. Strongly agree. A military option should always be considered. Strongly agree. Victimless crimes such as drug use should not be crimes at all. Strongly agree. I believe in a higher power.
What is a victimless crime?
Victimless crime like drug use.
If you take drugs beside your kids, could that not affect your children?
Depending on what they're seeing me as, then yeah, if you're going from that point, yeah, they're going to see you differently. But so if I'm not...
I don't know if there is truly a victimless crime.
See, but it's not a crime to look like a druggie, I guess. Like, because yeah, it's a personal issue. It's a mental and physical health issue. It shouldn't be like a criminal issue. That's how I see it as. I believe that I don't think that you should be thrown in jail for it. But if you need help because you have an issue with drugs, then yeah, you should seek help, and then there are resources for that.
My point was rather about the victimless. I don't know if that's truly a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. But the principle, victimless crimes such as drug use should not be crimes at all, and I agree with that.
Okay.
I believe in a higher power. I'm going to say slightly disagree because, again, I'm agnostic. Nations should cooperate whenever it benefits them both. I would say agree. We should respect those who have served in our military. I would say agree. As long as they're not being shitty. The national government needs more power. I'm going to say disagree. I think they already have enough power. It really, really depends. But until that comes up, I would say disagree. Those who do not work should die. Oh my god. Those who do not work should die. I'm gonna say disagree to that. Oh, that was the last question.
Work shall set you free.
Alright, so I am neutral among the first one. So federal, I'm more federal than unitary. 51-49 for that. So I'm neutral. Democracy and authority. I'm actually more authority than democracy, so I'm neutral in that. I'm a moderate isolationist when it comes to globalism. So I'm 36% globalist, 64% isolationist, apparently. I'm a moderate militarist, 64% militarist, 36% pacifist. I'm moderate freedom, 37% security, 63% freedom. Moderate markets, 33% equality, and 67% markets. I'm half and half on secular and religion, so I'm neutral. Progress and tradition, I'm half and half, so I am neutral. And then assimilationist versus multiculturalist, I'm actually more assimilationist, kind of expected that. Doesn't give me...
Share this on your Discord, and of course recommend everyone to take the same test and share your results so that we have some activity in the Discord.
Hell yeah. It doesn't give me a specific thing.
On the end there, I think, on the very bottom.
It doesn't give me one. It doesn't tell me what I am. Wow, 216 questions for nothing. Nah, I'm just kidding. At least now everyone knows what I am.
You're a fence sitter.
I'm a cuck. That is what I am.
Yes. Yes, you are.
All right. You just said that God created essentially science. That makes no sense. But anyway, I'm actually going to go ahead and head out for tonight, guys. But if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to see more things like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But I will actually go ahead and share this in the Discord. So if you guys want to take a test like this, then you'll actually be able to do that. It's actually called it's called 9 values. So let me actually grab a link real quick and do that. So if you want to take the test, go ahead and click that link right there. But if anything, guys, I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next live stream, and I will see you guys there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care. Okay, I'm done.